I want to ask you... oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say I invite you to treat me as your guest.
You are the object at the moment.
I begin to feel that.
You are going to be dissected. I want to ask you a very fundamental question. Before I ask it, I'm going to answer it myself, in my own terms. This is this. People have asked me why you write books. My answer is I write books for a living because there's no other job I can do successfully or with any measure of expertise. Obviously, you have another kind of living. Therefore, why did you write this book? You didn't write this book for money, did you?
No. In fact, I've been told there's no money in books.
There is no money in books. That's quite so.
Well, that in itself would explode a myth, I'd think, for most people who must think, hey, so-and-so's on the bestseller list, you must be raking it in.
No, that's true. I think Barbara would say something very apposite about that.
If she were here, she would.
Well, yes, Barbara is here. No, but nobody writes books, I think, with the intention of becoming rich overnight. The person who believes he's going to write a bestseller and be famous and wealthy forever is very rare. I write books, but probably my two friends here write books because it's a trade. It's a trade we can carry out more or less successfully. We're happy to have made a thing. The only moment of joy we have is that moment when the proof copy comes, you know, when it's between you and the printer, more or less. After that, the thing is launched, it's somebody else's concern. But back to this question, why did you write this book?
I seem to have evaded your question.
You do indeed.
Partly, there's a practical reason. Publishers constantly ask me, because you're on television, you ought to write a book, and I thought, well, maybe there's something to that, but I have no idea how. But I guess I wanted the experience of knowing what it is like to get something down the way you want it, rather than the frustration of when you're on television. Everything is sort of off the top of your head. It's ad lib. It's about the way you wanted it, sometimes better than you thought, sometimes worse, never quite the way you planned. And I somehow envied writers the idea that you can get a thing and finish it the way you want it and then pass it on. And then also to put an end to a certain irritating number of repeated questions year after year about myself that people constantly ask. I thought, well, maybe this will stop that now and I can move on to something else.
To set the record straight.
Is that the answer you
that's
wanted?
Part of it, but there was another answer I thought you might give. We all know, and it's repeated in the book, that you are one of the few people alive, perhaps the only person alive, who has read all of Henry James's novels.
Well, that's a terrible thing to know about anybody. In fact, there may be some I missed. I think that may have been exaggerated by a journalist.
Well, but you admitted in this book. The point is that I have a feeling that you have a literary ambition.
Really?
And that this talk show business is a kind of, what's the French, a pis-aller. It's a second best. But your real ambition is to use words in some permanent form. And this is a shy attempt at showing yourself to be a literary practitioner.
Exactly,
Am I right?
Anthony. He has a very nice command of the English language, and you've got a romance going with it, whether you know it or not.
Ain't it the truth?
It sure am.
Yeah.
I want to take Anthony's question a step further. Why, when you have made your career in television and you have had a reputation for being a cold cucumber and not exposing much of yourself, people say, oh, Cavett doesn't go into his own feelings.
Can't
and
get off
then
that word,
all of a
can you,
sudden,
remember, exposing.
Exposing. Well,
Good.
Then all of a sudden you're writing a book which is really very revealing. I mean, the jump between... I mean, do you really feel that you might have let ABC down because you didn't expose yourself on the air? There it goes again. And then for Harcourt Brace, you've just let it all show.
I never thought how I would write the thing. Porterfield came up with a way of writing it, which I could never have come up with. And I know him to be an organized and talented person, and I thought, well, it would be good to work with him on something, and it would be about me, and which, of course, is a fascinating subject to me. As Noel Coward once said, I find the subject endlessly fascinating or something. But I don't know. I guess I can't quite answer that, except that once you get going, the only way to do it is to open it up. And the myth of it's very hard to be honest about yourself, it turns out to not be so true. In fact, in a way, it's kind of sickeningly exhilarating.
You are interested in words, right? You are concerned about words.
Yeah.
You're the only person on this kind of business who is concerned about words. Most of the talk show pundits one sees, that thin man with a fat jackal, I forget their names, and the rest of them, Vermin Griffin, or some such name, these other people. They're full of expletives. They're full of songs like yeah, and I guess so, and wow.
Sounds like the White House tapes.
But
and they're all very good friends.
This show is the only show that I know of only popular show I know of that is built on language. Am I right in saying that? That it's your aim to build this thing on language?
No, you're wrong. It's not my aim. It may have accidentally happened that my obsession with words has come out or something, but I don't. It's not an aim. In fact, I've never had any real aim. But I would like to hear you comment on this. You said you could never write a book that's very personal.
No.
I suggest that maybe you'd find it sickeningly easy to do so, because haven't we all had the experience of spilling our guts to a stranger on a train or in a sidewalk cafe? Or am I the only one?
As we sit here, yeah.
No.
You know, it's easy to
It's
tell
not the
strangers
same,
the most intimate
No,
things about yourself.
True candor is very rare. It's a very rare quality. And I toyed with the idea recently, being now 57 years of age, of starting to write my autobiography.
Would you say truth is glue?
Truth is a kind of glue. It's other things too. And I thought, well, now my first sexual experiences. It's a great temptation to antedate them, for a start, and say that I lost my virginity at the age of 12, which is not true. I lost it at the age of 15, which again is not true. You know what I mean? It's this... see, there are two kinds of writers. I think Yerzy is one of the... Yerzy is my kind of writer. He's a liar. A constitutional liar. Writing novels is lying. It's telling lies. Now, Dick's book tells no lies, as far as I can say. It doesn't sound as though it tells lies.
Didn't Mark Twain say you've got to lie in order to tell the truth? And I know that in your book, at some point, you had to rough over the truth in order to get the truth out, which is very ambiguous.
The whole center of this show always was to get at our truth. That's why you really took so many chances. This is the only show I can think of where Dick would actually bring one man to fill the whole show. Now that's taking terrible chance on someone's ability to tell the truth or to lie. And I think when I read this, I had a feeling that what you are doing really is in a way giving it back to us and
that rings
opening
a bell
yourself
in some
the way
way.
you open us on the show.
Maybe I feel I
true or not?
have assumed that people should come here and spill their guts, so to speak.
In very difficult circumstances, in which very often you would ask a man a question he would not be able to answer, and so forth and so forth.
And I have felt guilty about things I've asked
Dick.
people.
It's not that we don't want you here to talk, but we have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a minute.